Today's lesson is on finding percents of a whole number. And I feel like this is one of the most relevant lessons that we teach in 5th grade because you use it all the time, I use it all the time, and my 90-year-old grandma uses it all the time. Because all of us go to places where things are for sale. And oftentimes there are markdowns. Brendan, can you please put that away? So when you see a sign that says that the item that you want is 40% off, that means you aren't going to have to pay full price for it. And that's always a good thing. That's like a happy day in my world when I see signs like that, okay? So when you see, how can you find a percent of a given number? So our question is, there's a backpack for sale. And it is 25 bucks, but it's for sale in 4 different stores. Store number 1, 50% discount. Store number 2, 10%. Store 3, 35%. Store 4, 20%. So my guess is, just by looking at this, you're going to know what store you want to go to. Yeah. Store number 1. Really? I think I would stay away from store number 2.
No, my mom would go to store number 1, but she won't buy anything unless it's on sale. She's like this. It keeps going down. Then she's and it's like
that's right. Your mom's totally right, Darius. So even though it's the same backpack, it's on sale for different amounts. So of course you know which store you would probably want to go to, but what we really need to figure out is what would be the price at each of these stores. So the original price is $25. What is the amount of discount? What is the amount of the discount? So what operation do you think you would use? Look back at my sign. The amount of the discount. Of. Yes, Aaron Lingen. Multiply, he says. So, you're going to multiply the percent by the backpack price. Now, we can't take 50% times something. We're going to have to take that 50% and write it as a decimal. So how do we write 50% as a decimal? 0.50 or just 0.50. So there's 2 ways we can do this. We can multiply by a whole number. We can convert it to a decimal, or we could convert it to a fraction. I think that today, for the most part, we are going to focus on changing our percents to decimals because it's much easier and quicker. Now, of course, if you had a calculator, this would be like a piece of cake. But even better, you have your brain. So store number 1 says it's a 50% discount. So to find 50% of $25, you're going to change this into a decimal, and you will multiply it by the price of the backpack. Here we go. And there it is. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the new price. It means we take this amount off of the total. So what would the new amount be? You're right, Alan. It still would be $12.50. But in the next example, it's not going to work quite so well. Now, another way you could do this is, you know that 50% means half, right? So we could totally take this and cut it in half and get the same answer. So now let's try to find 10% of 25. So we're going to take our 10% and write it as a decimal. And then we're going to multiply it by the price of the backpack, and we would get $2.50. Now that's not the price of the new price of the backpack. That's the amount that we take off of the price. So what would the new price be? Good job, Alan. $22.50. So if you were buying a backpack, this one right here, would you rather go to store 1 for $12.50 or store 2 for $22.50? Of course. Oh, let's back up for a minute because they did mention another way to try to find 10% of something, we know that 10% is 0.10. Well, we could just move our decimal one spot and we would have it. I'm going to go back like that. Here, 2 spots. Easy enough. Okay, we can use a shortcut. Nope, I'm going to move on. 35% of 25. So what are we going to do with our 25%? Excuse me, 35%. But first we have to change our percent to a decimal and then multiply it by the price of the backpack. So this is the discount. That's not the new price. This is the discount. Brendan, are you with me, buddy? So what are we going to do with this discount? Brendan, will you come right up here, buddy? Thanks. I really need your attention, okay? We're going to multiply these two numbers, Brendan. So when we did that, here's what we got for an answer. Now, what are we going to do with $8.75? That's not the price of the backpack. That's right. We're going to subtract it from 25 bucks. Can anybody do that in their head?
Alan probably can.
Alan's amazing at mental math. $16.25. Sarah, you were darn close. You were on the right path. Good work. What about 20% of 25? Change it to a decimal. Will? So you could have had an additional 0 right here, but you don't have to. It's kind of optional. So this turned into 5. So we're going to take 5 away from the price, and we would have a total of... This is our discount, Sam. So what would our new price be? $20. That's right. That's right. Okay, good work. Let's open up your iPad. To a blank page. And we are going to do this one together. We want to know, now we're not dealing with money anymore. There's no dollar signs on this question. What is 3% of 200? Well, we're going to multiply, right? Because you see the of. How do we change 3% to a decimal? How would we write that, Sarah?
We would do 0.03.
That's right. So everybody write this down. 200 times 0.03. If you want another 0 in front of it, you can, but you don't need to. Remember, this decimal moved over 2, so this one has to move over 2. So my answer is what?
6.
It is, just 6. Now, you really did not have to do this row at all. You knew that those were all going to be zeros. But I want to show you something, because somebody in the other class made a good point. They said, you know what, Mrs. Wajer, I didn't even have to do this on paper, because here's what I knew. I pretended this number was 100. 3% of 100 is just 3. Right? Percent means out of 100. 3. Well, that means I'll double it for 200.
So you double that.
Yeah. And they got 6. They didn't even show any work. They just knew it in their head. So that's the answer, Darius. All right, clear your screen. Let's do another one. You should have moved your decimal 2 to the left.
Put the 0 in front of the 3.
It shouldn't have mattered.
I know, but
Oh, he used the number 2000 and not the number 200. Okay. It does not matter which number you put first when you're multiplying. You'll still get the same answer. Go ahead and change this percent to a decimal. Don't look at mine until you're done with yours. Don't forget your placeholder. Check yours with mine when you're done. Some of you might have forgotten this placeholder. And then when you took 4 times 5, it's 20, so there should be another 0 here. Did you do something wrong, Natasha? No, you got it right? Okay. Do you have a question? Okay, what'd you do? You just put them opposite. You get the same answer. These are just going to be switched around. Okay? Now, I want to share something about 25%, guys. So, 25% is like taking half and then half again. Right?
Yeah.
Because what's half of 100? What's half of 50? 25% of 100 is 25. So what's half of the number 48?
24.
What's half of 24?
14. No. 12.
That's right. And there it is. There's our answer. Okay, let's try another one. This one is 90% of 85. Don't look at mine until you're done. Change your 90% into a decimal. Don't forget your placeholder. Okay. Check yours with mine. Do you have any questions?
No.
Many people forgot to put in their placeholder here, and then when they did 8 times 0, they put it here instead of here.
Oh, snap.
Okay. All right. The next thing you're going to do is I would like you to open up Explain Everything.